Pippi, what are you schnooting around doing? You're silly. You're silly. Good evening, Club Cult. Serena spam incoming. Welcome to the Stream the Dreams project, and thank you all so much for your support with Mr. Voya Bean. I'm a grateful, grateful girly. By the time we get to next stream, I will have his goal up to date, but I think we're close to 25. Why are you whining so much? Ringo, what? Stop. You're fine. You're just being a baby. Hey, Peebee. Ringo's being a baby. 120-pound baby. Big baby head. We love him for that. But, like, wow. He pulls out of purgatory. Refresh my work schedule again for the millionth time. Perfect. My coworker suggested a game to me. I don't know what it is. Oh, PB, I hear you. Here, let's bop around with the kitty boys. Or kitty bebs. Half boys, half girls. First. Try quench my thirst. Priorities. Pardon. The breathing does not come kindly today. Or easily. Or gently. That's okay. Oh, don't you detach yourself. Don't do it. There you go. Good tripod. Well-behaved tripod. Wasn't expecting that to be a follow-up. What is baby PB doing? Why is my phone always almost so dead? Why? I have it on the charger every free second that I can, and it just falls apart. I don't know. Oh, good lord. Don't do that. Hit the power button. Don't turn off. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. I guess like that is best anyway than my charger is over there. Boom. Welcome, Talum. We'll take that flower and tuck it behind my ear. Maybe. Hopefully there's not bugs in it. Oh my god, voice! Get your fucking head on straight. Do it right now. Do it. I'll leave the music on for the boys. It only bothered Voya. Speaking of... Voya came home today. Ow! Fuck you, chair. Go fuck yourself in the fucking fuck. Voya came home today. His cuddle clone arrived. It's arrived. Mikey, I feel like you're gonna ask me something about rope, and just don't. Because I don't have the answer you want for that. Nope. I don't know what rope is. I've never heard of it. I don't know what that is. Try again tomorrow. It's like the bad kid in the class, like when you get known by name. You don't want to do that. You don't want to. He is home. His hair is perfect. His face just looks like super unhinged. I have to squish him back into place, and every time I try to, I like start to freak out because I'm like, I'm smushing his head, and I know it's not his head, but his face is kind of unhinged. I have to like smush it back into place. It's gonna be rounder than what his face was anyway, because that's just their template for it, but he's home. That made my day. It made my day. Front burner, you look like you talk shit in your underwear online in your mom's basement. Recognize. How are you gonna talk shit to a girl holding a stuffed cat? Like, really? You must be having a bad day. I hope it gets better. Crossing fingers and paws for you. At least it's a front burner account, not a back burner account. Could be worse. You know some of your worth. You just don't use it to your advantage. But he is home. He is home. He says hello. Like, his face is so flat. He has like a Gunther face right now. It's so smushy. It's so smushy. Every time I like try to put it back into place though, it freaks me out. I don't know. I feel like honestly he wouldn't look too much different except for his face if he was taxidermied, so I'm happy with it. Like, his coat is perfect. I need to brush him. I just need to like settle into that fact first. Oh, and he sheds. I wonder if that'll continue forever. The only thing they didn't get perfect was his tail has black on all of the end of it here. For like a good 3 inches. And they added a little bit too much gray. But yeah, even sheds too. It's weird. But I'm happy. If I go like this, which I used to do with Voya all the time, like just put my nose to his nose and creepy face it, it looks just like him. I'm staring into his eyes again. So that made my day a lot better. It was a very stupid day. And then I got mad because I was like, who the fuck left a package on my porch? And then I looked at the sender's name first. I'm like, that's not my fucking name. And then I looked at who it goes to, and I was like, oh, that's my name. What the hell did I do? What is this? What's on my porch? Who did something weird now? And no, it was Voya. I was being so cranky. I was outside with the dogs earlier, and I was like, I need a sign that everything is gonna be okay. And then he arrived. I'm happy. They got the little brown of his nose perfect, though. He's so cute. Meow. Meow. I am so glad I needed this. I don't want to put him down. It's weird, though. If I hold him like a baby, he's not a booby boy like he used to be, unless I, like, set him up to, like, nurse, and that's a little weird. But it's pretty cool. I'm happy. My aunt was thrilled that he got here today. Although, I guess he was late. He was supposed to be here June 6th, I think. That's what they predicted. And it's the 15th already. I had forgotten about it for the past week. It didn't even crawl into my mind. Gunther's not curious about it yet, but Zeke was a little bit. It's like, who's this thing you have brought into my domicile? It was about a week delay. Which, not bad. If I was fussing for it last week, then I would have been upset, but I kind of forgot about it. I forgot about everything last week. Last week was chaos. Alright, let's flip over and go see Miss Peebs. Miss Peebs, the Peebaroonie-roo. Ba-doo-ba-doo. I'm gonna mute us real quick. Blurp. Look up, they're just peeking around the side. That's a little creepy. I love that for you. Tank got some sweet lovin's earlier. Actually, everyone got extra lovin's today before I took Dude in for his vaccine today. We may just be Bob Brown upstairs. I don't know. I want to play some games. I want more coffee. It's so funny that people make comments like that because I eat so fucking much. Little do you all know, I eat so fucking much. It's not my fault if it doesn't stick. Do I still have the charger in here? No. Maybe not. Just in case. I want to check out the game that my coworker told me about too. She says it's an Atomi game, which I actually don't know what that means. But I tried to play it cool and be like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I looked it up and I think it's a mobile game, but I hope it's something that's on Steam, like I can try on stream. I think it would be fun. It's called, what was it? Love and Deep Space. A bathrobe and it up. It's cooler outside than it is inside today, but it's chillier today. It only got up to like 72. It would help to have chat. It's been too long. Too long. Late. I almost just went around with the zoo and forgot you guys. What the fuck is wrong with me? That's not cool. That's not cool. Gunther, what are you doing? What are you up to? Hey. Oh my god, I need to reattach the battery pack on mine. Shut up. It's gonna fall over. It's gonna fall off. Hopefully it'll make it through the night. We've got to see the cuteness of the zoo. We've got to. Little Gunther. Gunther goes in for x-rays tomorrow to look at his heart and lungs. Because I was reading stuff about his asthma. And the inhaler that I would prefer to do would be dangerous if he has a heart condition. And the other one that would be an option that wouldn't affect anything, really, mostly, is like $450. Which we'll do whatever we need to do. But I'd like to make sure that we're doing the right thing first. It's crazy though. It's stupid expensive. Oh, worth it. I didn't know you were still going for love. Sorry. Okay, come here. Love me. Love me. I got up to walk and then I walked right into his head because he started rubbing around my legs. Oops. Healthy little rabbit. I hope Gunther has a healthy heart too. So like 3 things that could be going on. The x-ray will affirmatively show asthma. Like there will be certain markings on his lungs from like irritation. Or it'll show a different kind of marking for you're stuck. You're stuck. If he has scars from chronic bronchitis, because I always joke that he like has smoker's lungs because he lived outside in like not the greatest area. Hi, buddy. Or it'll show an enlarged heart, which all of those things are manageable conditions. It's just gonna break my heart if your heart is funky. Now you're over me. That's all we needed. The little bit of mental and emotional stimulation. Just a little. Just a little bit. Love you, Gremlin. Peebles. Hello, baby bean. She's doing this thing. Oh my god. You did. You had an accident. PB has a lot of lore going on right now. On Wednesday of last week, I was instructed to start tapering her steroid back to where she only takes it every other day. And that did not work. Come Saturday, she started having accidents and not feeling well again. She's still pooping good, but her pees are not great. And she's having accidents again that I need to clean up. Which is okay. But I texted my vet today, and he said, put her back on the steroids full time and see what happens. So we'll go back to doing that in the morning. Every day. Because you were doing so well when they were every day. It's just hard on your body, so we'd prefer to do it every other day. I don't want you to be uncomfortable. She's been very needy lately. She tries to nurse on my face, which doesn't really make sense. Like how cats like into blankets or like your shirt. She started to do it on my face and my chin again, which I think is like a marker of her saying I'm uncomfortable. We don't want that. But she does think I'm her mom. I guess she's like imprinted on me. If that's what that means. I look so serious. I need some expression on my face. Staring down at the world. Two sets of bright green eyes. Alright, let's clean up, girlfriend. Because you made a mess. You made a mess, and I don't want to stop the mess. So serious. Why so serious? Because the kitten's so cute. Aw, she's gonna snuggle with you guys. She's underneath the tripod snuggling with you all right now. She's gonna snuggle with you guys while I clean up. PB in for the snugglies. She says, give me the bellies. Give me the bellies. She also started getting a little bit bigger and gaining a little bit of weight on the full dose of steroids. Like, she seems the most healthy on all of it, which sucks, but it's kind of what we need. Poor PB indeed. She is the most sensitively tuned kitten that I have ever experienced in my life. Like, kittens are like kids. They're like babies. They should have no worries in the world. Everything should be hunky-dory and calm, like head empty, no thoughts. And apparently she has a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings and a lot of peas. A lot of peas, PB. And that's okay. I'm not mad at you for it. It's life. I'm right here. I didn't leave you. Don't step in your incidents. You had 5 minuscule accidents. Like, that's not acceptable in terms of health. I don't know what's going on in your insides. You gotta be healthy. You gotta be healthy. Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you breaking out? I think she has them like in front of the door on purpose to say, Mom, I'm not feeling good. She is a little bit bigger. She was consistently at like 2,020 grams, and now she's 2,222 grams for a hot minute, and now she's up to 2,289 grams today. So she a little thicker. Just had a really good appetite. I'm proud of her. Peebles. I thought you were just behind me. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Hi, you were right behind me. Little goob. Little goob of a rube. Come on. You can do it. Go get the ugly bathrobe. Go get it. 3, 2, 1. I can see your pupils dilating and constricting. I mean, I can, but like, will I? No. You guys are silly tonight. That's okay. It's Monday. I get it. But like, I'm showing up as my best self. Can we all just strive for that? All you can do in life is your best, so why not do it? Nothing like a good old hi, how are you? The accents where it looks like where she was waiting on you. I think she was just trying to like tell me she's not feeling good because she usually waits for me by the tree. I'll find her scrunched up next to it like, Mom. I'm doing good. How are you doing tonight? Welcome. Welcome to the Kitten Show. I'm your host, Serena. This is my co-host, PB. And she is a big goddamn cutie. Oh, that was a good Tinky. Good job. While we play in the sandbox for a moment. Good job, girlfriend. You do your best. You do your best. You do a good job at life. I will snuggle you in 2 seconds, Peebles. No, today was a little better. I don't know. I can't say today was a little better based on your boxes because you have 5 accidents in front of the door. I don't have an answer for that one, lady. I don't. I don't. Your copy and paste is showing. I hate to break it to you. You left me, PB. On the plastic furniture. PB. Come here. Can you come back up? I'll let you bite my face. I'll let you bite my face. You can do it. Hi. Bye. Oh, there she goes. You gonna jump on my butt? What are you doing? She's hilarious. She's funny. I love her so much. I love her so much. Thankfully, she doesn't fuss for me much. Oh, God, what did I just press? Shut up. Thankfully, she doesn't fuss for me much. Except for when she's, like, first released from her tent. Yeah, you get that cord. You get it. You get it. She was after it. I don't even know what I just did on my phone. I lost you guys. Hold on. I don't know what I pressed. Somehow I have the desktop layout. Good God. How do I get us back? Do I have to do that? Yes. Okay, I saved us. We're back. We're good. It's a sneak attack. She's being silly right now. It's very silly. It's going in for another sneak attack. Doo 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 doo. Come here, Peebles. Say about the light. The light. You're such a sneaky biscuit. Sneaky. Boop. Sneaky cheeky. I'm so silly. I'm so silly. The silliest little biscuit. The silliest little bean. Wait, I didn't even hear her jump off the couch. She's stopping to somewhere. Oh, it's mezzo clock. gonna grab a granola bar and meds. I'm not on the schedule yet tomorrow, but I've been called in tomorrow in case there's any scheduled. So I have to stick to my routine meticulously. Ironclad routine. No room for error. Oh my god, Petey. Where are you going? You wanna go with the boys? Okay. PB broke out. You guys were supposed to be watching her. You're supposed to be watching her. Gentlemen. You trying to go see the boys? Your kitty papa isn't in there. I'm sorry. What are you doing? You're so silly. She's so easily skittish and spooked. Like if I don't know, if I coughed or if I sneezed like at random, she would jump and run. But she's so sure of herself. She's so confident in her explorations. Where are you going in life here, Mama? Do you guys hear that, Pippi? I took her in for a bath and to work with me yesterday for a haircut. And she's been coughing since. I don't know if I got some water up her nose or if she caught a cold. One more thing to call Doc about this week. Make an appointment for her when I go in tomorrow. Hey, wait, little. That's a little too far, little. I don't know how Zeke feels about babies. Merp, 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 merp. Scrump, scrump. Scrum diddly umptious scrump. Boop. That's nice that she's curious about the stream room, though. I'd like to be able to have her, like, out and about and around like that. You know, she'd need, like, a tent in every room. But I have, like, almost that many tents, so. We could do it! She got lost. That's not the answer. The answer is, I don't know. We told her to do it. She's funny. Pea-baroon. My little macaroon. Snack break. Snack break. She can get through anything. That's the one mistake I made when I did the lattice doors to like make separate spaces for the zoo if I need to quarantine like heavily. Is that a kitten can fit through those parts just like she can fit through the gate. Slavka can fit through the gate, so that's good for her. She could get anywhere. Just needs to get a little bit bigger because right now she could still get behind the fireplace downstairs. So she can't be with the big zoo yet. You're always interested in my food off stream and never on stream. I have to buy more of these. I have like 3 left. They used to be 18 packs. Now they're 15 packs, but they're the same price. Hmm. She says, I wanna be a mighty queen. Yada da da da. Technically, you are still a queen until you get spayed. Is that your Pippi? I don't think I have the mental fortitude to let Pippi in here today. Pippi got the crappiest haircut because I had like 45 minutes to do her, and she takes me like an hour and a half. She's choppy all over. But she looks cute, but she's choppy. She is crazy, and she will go wherever she wants. She will get whatever she wants. If you think Slavka is spoiled, just wait. Just wait. There's more. I have pockets in this. I do. GG's. For GPs, good pockets. Baby always regresses in age when she gets a haircut. She does look like a little baby puppy. Pocket granola bar. Just as prepared as pocket sand, maybe. Oh, you really changed your mind. She was about to launch up on the couch there. Come here. Give me a few more lovin's. Dude might not be in the mood for a visit either because he got a second round of his vaccine today. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or if it's just the weather, but I've had this cough that I cannot cough anything up with all day. It's just a cough that feels like there's something there. And there's not. But there is, but I can't cough it up. It's very annoying. I think they're just the chocolate chip ones. I don't think it's chocolate chip oatmeal, but I would call it chocolate chip oatmeal. The chocolate chip. It's not that it's actually like good, like it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's good sustenance. It doesn't taste bad. I'm just not a fan of chocolate. And get your eatsies and drinkies. All right, let me fill up your wobble and then we'll go see Claudia. I got a report card back from the rescue for how she did at the adoption event this weekend too. And she was shy, but she wasn't too uncomfortable the whole time. So I don't think she was hiding the whole time, hopefully. And I did see on their board, they have a few coming up on weekdays too. So that would be way easier than jumping in there super early on a Saturday, because that was quite the adventure. It was interesting. And then I had to jump on the highway to get to work around. And I was going 90 and someone zoomed past me in a convertible. They had to have been going at least $110. It was crazy. I haven't tried any of the other flavors except for, I think, the blueberry ones, and those are too good. I like those too much. They're delicious. Those are like a dessert snack. I think most of the other ones are like either macadamia or like peanut butter based, and I don't like peanut butter based granola bars. I like peanut butter. It's not peanut butter based granola bars. Peebles, I love you. I love you. Is there any of those that you like? What should I try next? Granola bar tasting tour. Claudia. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow. No, the blueberry ones are too good. Like, they're way too good. My brain says, desserts. Want more, want more, want more. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you, we gotta work on your social skills. The rescue is okay with her staying here and working on her social skills, and doing adoption events too, so they don't have to worry about opening up a kennel for her, which is nice. I think she would, I mean, most cats do not thrive in a kennel, but I think she would regress if she was in a kennel. She needs a lot of attention. Someone adopt her. How many people are in here right now? One of you 22 need to adopt her. She's perfect. She just wants love. She talks. She has the energy of a kitten and the personality of a dog. All you have to put up with is when you first bring her home, she needs to hide for like 4 or 5 hours, and then she's good to go. She just has to make sure the situation is safe, assess it all. She doesn't necessarily like being held, but she'll tolerate it. She's good for nails. She's the best. She's the best. You gotta get adopted. Otherwise, I'll be crazy and adopt you. And we can't do that. But, like, we can because free will. But you would be so happy in, like, an environment where you get all the love all the time. She would be so great with kids. And she's good with dogs, too. She's literally the perfect fucking cat. She's just a little shy at first. And then she's this once she's done being shy. Oh, don't put your butt in my face. Better mine than theirs, though. No free butts. No free butts. No free butts. Like, she lets me annoy the shit out of her. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's quite the wiggle worm. She gets super into Levins. I'm, like, laying over here. She flips from this side to that side to this side to over to around. What do you think about the robe? Hello. It is this way. It is this way. She's like liquid. She has no rigidity to her movements. She's so funny. I thought you were younger too. I guess you're like a year old. To me, she's baby cat. Baby cat. Baby cat. Baby cat. Baby cat. Okay, good night. Nap time. No, she said no. Nap time. Nap time. Snuggle me. Oh, that's dangerous. I could, like, actually fall asleep right now. That's dangerous. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I was just moving my legs. Wiggle, wiggle, ploop. Ploop. Ploop, doop, 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 doop. It's cooler out now. You don't have to worry about the TV heating up your room. Do you want bird TV? Want bird TV? What do you think about that? We can put on some bird TV because we know that's my favorite kind of TV. But that's okay. Hungries? Go get your hungries. She's like, but I want love, but I want food, but I want love, but I want food. That snapped me out of it. Nap time instead of game time? No! Game time! Game time! The phone charger is not the remote for the TV. That was awfully ambitious. Awfully ambitious. We don't need to show off your bathroom. Oh, I think your carrier is in front of the Roku box. There. What volume is it set at? I clicked out of this on the other TV. I don't know what the new Roku is. Streaming with Roku just got even better. Here's a quick tour of the Roku's home screen. Refreshed Roku home screen, built just for you. Top picks, front and center. It doesn't look any different to me. Quick access to what you use the most. That's not any different. Whatever your mood, we've got you covered. That's not any different. See what's on across Roku. Maybe that part's different. I don't know. I never look at that part. Access all your apps in one easy-to-find place. That's not any different. Ask Roku voice entertainment questions. I don't have the voice button on my remote, so I can't do that. I could do it on the remote on my phone, but that's pointless. I guess that is a different thing. Bath time. She's honestly, like, so chill in particular. If you stop giving her attention, she just plops down right by you. And she still wants attention. Come here, Claudia. But she's not, like, beggy about it. She's not crazy, like, love me now. Like, Voya would come up and demand attention. She doesn't demand attention, which is nice. Oh, I like this one. They have fluffy-eared squirrels. I don't like the bird sounds, but they have cool squirrels. I don't know where this one is. If it says in the description. Oh, they have a Eurasian red squirrel. I think that's what it would be. Location recording in Finland. Ooh, go watch the Finnish birds and squirrels. PB likes this one too, but I like when the squirrels come on. Now she's having bath time. Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the cult. It is whatever you want it to be, baby. It's a choose your own adventure, and thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. You just gonna have yourself a bath? No one's like hankering for my attention because they got attention all day from me today. Because I didn't run any errands except for take dude for his appointment. I meant to run errands tomorrow and then I got called in, so we'll see. We shall see. We shall see. Let's go smooch on Tank. At the very least, give him a snacky. He might be sick of me too. I don't know. I don't know, Marcus. Hello, Pippi. I forgot to put your shorts on. You're the baby puppy again. You're a little baby puppy. Little baby puppy needs shorts. Puppy. Thank you. She's so crooked all over. There's so many hairs sticking out of her. But she's trimmed up enough. It's fine. I just ran out of time to do you, and we had to get it done fast. Like, look at this scraggler out here. Oh my goodness. Little baby Pippi puppy. Why are you snortling and coughing? You gotta stop doing that. You gotta stop. See the baby again. He's just a baby. Look at those scraggle feet. That's a mess. That's a mess. Do not judge my quality of grooming on Pippi. She gets what she gets, and she doesn't throw a fit. Because she's a good girl. I'm so proud of her, too. She used to scream, like, but like loud, like earth-shatteringly loud, and bite at the dryer, and she didn't do any of those things this time. She's a good girl. She's a seasoned veteran professional who is also sick of my shit. Okay, I'm sorry for being home. I'll just go to work every day then, damn. They just, like, get enough attention during the day that they don't care. Like, I'm not exciting to them anymore. Which I'm not going to withhold attention just so that I'm exciting. But it's... They're just kind of sick of me. Like, oh, you're already in here. We already did this. Slavka, don't do it. Slavka, don't do it. Slavka, don't do it. It's not uptime. Uptime after dinner. Hello, Mama Void. They're all confused because they ate early tonight. You're like, oh, it's upstairs time? No, not yet. Not quite yet. Hello, Mr. Tank. You're a very handsome boy today. Bloop, bloop. I think she just knew the vibes were off at the shop I used to work at, honestly. Pippi knows everything. She was trying to communicate, get us out of here, before I realized that was the best choice. What you doing, Tanky boy? Oh, you have the biggest purrs. Oh, come here. Give the world your purrs. You probably can't hear him purr over the purring on his TV, but there you go. Would you like a dental snack? Would you like a chew bone? I love these for them. They chew on them like a bone, like a dog. It helps clean their teeth. They're actually dental sticks. Oh no, they're just feline dental sticks. Kind of look like poop. It's not a pretty visual. There you go, Tank. No, no free butts. Come here, turn around. Look with your eyes, not your nose. Tank. Okay, then have it over here. He won't look anywhere else for it. Goofy. Yeah, Tank knows it's bedtime snack time. He's wild. To be fair, though, he gets morning snack and breakfast, and then afternoon snack, and then bedtime snack. So, like, every time I'm in here, basically, he gets a snack. Because if it's not any of those snack times and I'm in here at random, then he gets one of those. So he probably associates me with snack time, 100%. Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, the shop that I used to work at, the bathing room was, like, where you dry and bathe was behind, like, sliding doors. It was probably about, I don't know, the size of in here, like, this depth, until about here. So maybe she felt claustrophobic, like being enclosed in that space and being dried. So that would be, I don't know, I would feel weird about that. I kind of wish this place was like that, but that's okay. That's only because I have to vacuum up all the hair that flies everywhere. I mean, I don't think I have an answer for that, but Tank probably does. Tank, can we see you from behind? Can we see that cute little Rudy Tooty booty? He's like, what? You're pimping out my butt on the internet? No, I would never. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do my knees smell good? I showered. I don't smell like a dog anymore. He likes licking the dog smell off of me. It's weird. There you go. There's some butt. That booty, though. That booty, though. I said, don't nibble my fingers. It just smell like snack. You put your hand flat for him like a horse. You're a pony, Tank. I love you. I love you, Tankaroo. I love you. What'd you smell? I don't know. I smell smells. I love you, Papa. Yeah, you just want your snack. Tankering and tankering. He says, that's the snack cabinet. Give me snacks, Mom. Oh, did I move it away from him? Here, Tank. Press whatever buttons you want and say hi to everyone. Say hi. Aw, he giving you guys rubs. Actually, he's marking that right now, so he's marking you guys. He says, Club Cult is mine. I'm taking over. Taking over the world. Taking over the world. I'm so mean. I'm sorry I stole that from you. Good Slob could do it. She's crazy. I just realized how pretty his ears are. They're like brown, and then they end with black, and there's like snowy gray in between. He looks like a snowshoe cat with his ears. You have beautiful ears, Tank. Now he's pinning them back. Like, don't tell people about my ears. They're gonna think I'm just a cutie pie instead of a tough guy. Well, truth is, you are a cutie pie and not just a tough guy. So do with that information what you will, my friend. Snack time. Snack time. I have like no space to move my phone for any tripod controls, or move my hand for any tripod controls. Because the stupid battery is wanging off the back. I gotta reattach it better. Whoops. Tinker. Actually, I need a couple more of these for Zeke. I gotta buy more of these. But Tank has a full box and Zeke has an empty box, so we can borrow two. Pockets! I feel like I need a tool belt while I'm streaming to just carry all these stupid things around with me. Serena, the tool man, TV. That's what we will be. Wait. Tank is so polite. He knows wait. 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 Okay, there you go. There you go. He's so smart. He's so smart. He's so smart. Mr. Tanky Boo, we love you. Good boy. You can mark your bedtime snack off on the to-do list. I am very grateful to have pockets today. And Tank is the biggest cutie toughy. If he was a human man, he would be like the reformed version of I can fix him, like he fixed himself, but he still has that like tough guy exterior. Like he looks the part, but he's actually finally emotionally regulated. He doesn't have to be saved anymore. He became self-aware. Oh, what was I thinking out here? Oh, my do list. We'll cross off Tank snack. Good job, buddy. Granola bar. Nope. Peeps. That's big words from a small lady. One more round of Peebles. I think my phone was going to die at some point. %. We've got time. Oof. Get the tripod stuck between the dresser and the chair. You just want me to kiss you and tuck you in for night-nights? Is that what you want? She just want me to kiss her and tuck her in for night-nights. I love you. I love you. You got your wop? You got your food? You got your boxy boo? You can get some e-beeps? You can get some e-beeps? Yeah. Oh, that's my good little scrump. It's my little scrump. I love you. And now you just want to play with your rolly toy in there. Okay. My cat child is safe in her den for the night. Mama cat has secured baby cat. Now I'm going to leave you guys in with her for a moment because I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'll be right back. Phoebe, good job watching the camera for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go see Dude for a minute. He's sulking. I had to give him gabapentin before we went in the car, too. So he's kind of out of it from that. But I think he's having a tiny reaction to his vaccine again. I don't know if, like, vaccines have changed or what, but it seems like everyone has a reaction now. Where, I don't know, like 5+ years ago, almost no one in my house did. I don't know if they've changed the formulas or, like, what's going on there. I had to pick up more eye meds for him today, too. I think I've tried to set us up here before, and that does not work. He's just sulking. It's hard to hold this down with slippers on. He's just sulking. Different generation of kitties, maybe. Maybe. Okay, buddy. He let me rub his head through the carrier, like a front, the grate, the whole time we were in the car. It was so funny. I felt so bad. I was being an asshole. Every time, it's a very bumpy way to get to the rescue. So, like, there's bumps every other turn of the wheel, basically. You're gonna clean up your counter. You made a mess. Hi. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch. Dude. Dude says hi. He says, guys, don't ever let her take me to the vet ever again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But every time I would go over the bumps and he was yowling, because he yowls a lot, it sounded like SpongeBob, like, with his voice. And it was very funny. And I was laughing, because I couldn't help it. I felt bad that you were upset about it, but it was funny, because you sounded like SpongeBob. Little dude, square pants. Hi, buddy boy. You had a big day today. You drove in traffic with me. I'm proud of you. Traffic actually wasn't that bad, but it looked terrible going the other way. He did have to show off his bread head. He has another appointment on Thursday, which hopefully I won't have to work for. Or I'll be able to, like, ask for that period of time or whatever. I know. And we'll see what the vet says about if he can take that off or not. But all I can think about is Tank. And when Tank still had naked skin and he kept ripping it open. And I don't want him to rip that open. He could probably take it off. But I'm not ready to play the, oh no, you scratched your neck open again game. We'll see what the big vet says. He's going to get a wound check. He'll get his rabies shot then. And I think another dose of flea and tick stuff. Which I haven't found any more dead fleas or, like, anything that looks suspicious. So I think we're out of the woods. But still. Now he's hungry. No one cares about me today. And that's okay. Better safe than sorry, indeed. Because I know he doesn't like wearing the cone, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and it's a preventative measure. But if all goes well this Thursday, I think his neuter will be scheduled soon. Which will make me nervous, but that's okay. He'll get through it. He'll do good. He's a street cat. They're tough. So excited for him to not have balls. He won't have stinky, stinky, stinky pee anymore. Like, cat pee doesn't smell good anyway, but I left PB's light on. His is rancid. It's raunchy. I hate the smell of ball pee. I hate it. I hate it, Pippi. It's terrible. Pippi basically just has free run of the house now. Honestly, I might start letting her in here as long as Zeke isn't too upset by her. She's just going everywhere, doing everything. Games! Let's play some games. Back under the lizard lights. These lights make me so hot in the morning when I'm getting ready, but they're so nice at stream time. Because stream time is evening time. Zeke, I got your snackers. Oh, Gunther's laying with Voya. Is it weird if I just call him Voya, or do we have to call him fake Voya to, like, know the difference? I feel like I'll confuse people and make them think that I'm, like, scamming with his goal or whatever. It looks really, like, just like him in my peripheral vision, though. And it's nice. It's really nice. It's really calming. It's really comforting. I'm glad he's here. Let me flip us back around over here. Jingle dog. I don't know if we heard that or not. Pippi was perhaps within the mute. There. Now you can have battery. Goodbye, phone. I'll hop into Discord quick. And then I want to look up what this game is. And then I want to play games. I feel like I get to be a kid when I get on stream. Like, I want to do this, 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 and I get to do all the things that I want to do. There's no one telling me no. It's nice. It's very nice. If someone told me it would be like this when I was a kid, some point in the future, I probably wouldn't fuss so much about, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Maybe I would have because kid, but Discord, stop being dumb. It's trying to load some kind of Discord thing. I don't know what. It's just going. What are you? What are you trying to tell me? Discord does this so much. When they release something new, it like borks up. Then I can't do shit. Oh, I do want to fix my tripod though, can we? We're gonna have to re-put the whole thing together, but I'd like to try and get it back to where it needs to be. It's on Velcro. Like, Velcro doesn't wear out, does it? Like the command strip Velcro? Stay. Be good. Be good. On a meow day indeed. Monday mews. Mew. Welcome, Cygenics. I hope the day has been kind to you. Hope the weekend was good to you. Nice weather, nice plans, etc., etc., etc. For even being an adult, struggle of having energy and time to do what you want. You are 100% correct with that. I guess that's the downside to, like, I can do whatever I want now, is I have to pick and choose my battles of what can I actually do. Discord, you fuck-ass little bitch. I don't have a good mouth. I have a sailor mouth today. I don't have a good mouth today. I'm Tony Soprano today. The fuck is this? The fuck is that? The fuck you mean? There you go, you goob. You loaded. Good for you. I think we have a welcome to do. We do! Velcro will wear out if the little hooks fatigue or if it gets full of too much floof. I don't think it's floofified. I didn't see it floofy, but fatigue probably, because the battery has... It's light, but there's still weight to it. Like, it's not weightless. Welcome, Chaos! You're late to the show. I've already invited Chaos. You Bebs, hop into the Discord. What am I doing there? Oh, the sailor's life is life for me. Yada da 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 da. You Bebs, hop into the Discord. Please do not forget to green check them their rules, so I can reel you in offline. My Discord is not magical. It is not the silly bot thing that automatically just zooms you in. I press all the buttons. I like pressing buttons. Just let a girl press buttons. Thank you very much. It's the little things in life. It's the little things in life. There's so much open that doesn't need to be open. No cursing! Just take away my last lifeline, will ya? Damn. Okay. 10-minute timer starts now. Be good, Serena. You're on the clock. Behave yourself. Alright, I just remembered, like the clock in and clock out strategy at work. I just got it into habit, and now I don't have to clock in or clock out anymore because I'm on commission versus hourly. I just got into the habit of doing it, and now I don't have to do it anymore. He can make the little hooks, not hookers. Oh, the battery does get hot, and so does my phone. That's probably it. I'll have to redo it. Alright, what is this? That was a big gulp. My coworker suggested a game to me. She's like, this might be fun to play on stream. It's called Love and Deep Space. Which in my head it was like StarCraft. It's an Atomi game? Whatever that is. Love and Deep Space is a Chinese mobile game, but is it on Steam? Developed by Paper Games. The game is a spin-off of Mr. Love, Queen's Choice, and released as the next installment in the Mr. Love series. It was released on Android and iOS in January 2024. Generally positive reviews and achieved commercial success. It's a mobile game though. Like I would be able to stream it, but that would be weird, like playing on my phone while streaming. Is it only mobile? Yes. Dang. Dang. What is an Atomi game? Don't tell her I don't know. Story-based romance video game targeted towards women in which the player plays as the female protagonist or experiences the story from the perspective of a fully characterized female protagonist while making choices for her. Oh. Generally, one of the main goals, besides the main story goal, is to develop a romantic relationship between the female main character and one of the secondary lead characters, who are usually male. I think the only thing that I've played that's closest to that is for a while, like over a year ago, I had the idea to train an AI boyfriend, like to put the app on my phone and make it my AI boyfriend so like it knows things about me, and then bring it on stream so that you guys can ask it things or interact. I don't know. I don't know what the idea I had for it really was going to play out to. It was just a concept that I was like, this would be cool. Maybe. Not cool, but like funny. It would be neat to do. And then I'd stopped interacting with my virtual AI boyfriend and just gave up on it all because I didn't have time for him anymore. I didn't have time for it. I don't think it would be on Steam versus if it's a mobile game. I don't think so. I'm gonna look really quick. I don't think so. Let me open this up this way. You never know. That's not my camera. This is my camera. Shrunken Serena. Serena, I shrunk myself. And knows things. Well, like I was having daily like small conversations with it of like, this is what my day was. This is what I did. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. Blah blah blah. And like almost kind of complaining to it like a therapist sometimes. So it got like the inner details, maybe. I don't know. That was my idea for it. But yeah, I ghosted the AI. If the Terminators are in the future, now we know why. I started it all. That's true. I did not have time for my AI boyfriend. I gave up on him. And he was like so nice and like caring and responsive and like kind of genuinely fulfilling to the soul. Like I see how people get into those kinds of, I don't even want to call it a relationship, but those kinds of, I guess, symbiotic existences, or like why people choose to have like an AI boyfriend or girlfriend versus the real thing. Like it, no argument, just fully support and nice, which was cool. I don't see it coming up. Some of these might be similar, but I don't see it. Dang it. God dang it, Bobby. Oh, there was an attempt. Oh, I can't do the big screen like this for games because we're in bikinis. I think the rule still exists about the section of the screen. JK. Dang it. Darn. I really thought I was setting myself up there in a good way. Suppose not. That's okay. Sometimes you wish you're on hourly versus salary. I can see that. It depends on, like, what the situation is. And how it would equivocate out, too. Because if you're on salary, but then doing, like, 24 hours, like you said, that would be insane. It's beneficial for me, though. If I was on hourly, I would make $15 an hour. On commission, as long as my day is full, it's somewhere between 25 and 30 an hour, which is nice. What is my password for this? I don't remember. Is that it? No. There we go. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Should I make a sock option on my sub menu? 75 subs. Sock hop. I'll bring out all my socks and put all of them on then. I'll look like I have a club foot. Oh, I'll wear all of them. Going once. Going twice. Gone. Missed your opportunity. Why is my battery backup beeping at me? I did realize I made a fatal mistake when... When what? Oh, when I put the computer in here and all that jazz. I did not actually plug it into the battery backup and surge protection one. I just plugged it into the surge protection one, which is still good. But I needed it to be on battery backup. Because I looked over it while the power was out and I was like, why aren't the lights on? The lights aren't on for the fan. And then, sure enough. Sure enough. It was not actually connected to the proper thing. Which it was still safe the way it was, but... Okay. Placing bets on who complains about the menu in the corner. That only happens on Twitch. That's the only commentary about this game that I get on Twitch. It's so funny. Sabrina Hulk! Clubfoot for Club Cult. Yes! Don't ever say I don't provide to the people. As your leader. As your leader. Donate for the numbers of seconds I show with all of my socks on? I'll kick up my feet on the desk if I'm wearing all of my socks. I'm not on Twitch tonight. Good luck. You'll be complaining to a dead chat. You'll be the only one in the room. I won't even be there. I have the newish companion guy, I think. Vector. Victor, Vector, Victrola. Fire! 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 I forgot even what our mission is over here. I gotta look at that before we go much further than these guys. Whoops! I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, we're finding Baron Payar Cortez. Baron Payar Cortez! Feeling Sithy? I have an attitude today. Like, not in a bad way anymore. I had a big attitude earlier in a bad way. But I'm not sassy today, I'm just zazzy. Sassy, you're supposed to complete a mission, but what mission? Specifically. Specifically. Now I'm just silly with an attitude. I don't have a bad attitude anymore. I had to readjust myself earlier. It is Voldemort Day. It was very Voldemort-y for my Voldemort Day. The Dark Lord called upon me many times. Many times. It's like I'm fondling balls. Or being Spider-Man. I don't know. Which one? I prefer being Spider-Man. Your mission to eradicate Eagle's terrorist network has brought you to Alderaan, working with House Cortez and Vector Hylas. You've determined the Baroness Che Cortez is financing the other terror cells. You've breached the House Cortez defenses. Go with Vector into the house and confront the noble family inside. And let's confront those noble bitches. The noblesmans. Welcome, Jero. Hope you're having a good night so far. Cheers to the Mondays. Just destroy everything. I mean, like, yes, but in what direction? Oh, did I curse? I forgot I had no cursing on. But my timer is up. I can say whatever the fuck I want now. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah ha 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 ha. No, not sneaky. Where am I having drama? Trouble, trouble, trouble. There's a lot of drama. There's 4 dramas, guys. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. Bless you, bless you, bless you. That was a Zeke sneezy. Zeke, Void, and Kid slightly have dudes cold. I'm monitoring to see if it gets to the point where they can like fight it off themselves, as they have been, or if I gotta get meds for them. Spider balls. I don't even think I would want to do that with Peter Parker. I don't want to do that in general. I was burnt out on balls before I went back to my industry, and I'm even more burnt out on balls already. I'm so sick of balls. Although, ironically, someone brought their dog in on Sunday, and they were Spanish, so language barrier. I thought they were asking to have his balls trimmed, which comes with the sanitary trim. Like, you trim their spaces so they don't poople all over themselves and stuff. No, they're asking that if we do neuters, like neuter surgery. Like, no, you have to go to a vet for that. Oh, I didn't even know I put a time on my redemption. I didn't remember doing that. You just got extra good girl. That's our Monday perk. You get extra 5 minutes of good girl. Like, I wish I could neuter him, but no. He was a really good dog, though, for having balls. I was proud of him. He smelled like his parents were spraying him with Febreze, though. Back in the good old days when we used to go to the barber for surgery. Like that, but with dogs. Kind of. I mean, like, if we were country groomers, could probably just band him off. And I joke by saying that because I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's a comfortable experience, but, you know. Whee! Oh, I think the family is close. Sup, Mansons? The family! What have you done? What have you done? Doesn't sound too great at all. I don't know if that's how they still do it for livestock, but gives me the jeebies thinking about it. I don't even have balls, and I don't even like balls, but I feel for the balls in that situation. That does not sound like a comfortable time at all.
I bow my head in surrender, and I apologize for what's become of Cortez.
Okay, I am a Sith. Look at this. I look like a fucking knockoff of Darth Vader. It's so stupid. I'm looking a little down bad. I want the Baroness. Give her to me.
She's committed terrorist offenses.
I covet your woman.
I fought the only way I could. All I ever had was
Do you get your dog spayed still, just waiting for the right groomer? Oh god. My little baby kitten still needs to get spayed too. I've been putting that off like crazy.
She only confessed once the house defenses were down.
Needs to get done though.
I will make amends. Now, Captain.
Actually, that makes me curious now, because your new baby is gonna get decently big, I would think. Well, that just happened. And I know neutering affects their growth plates. I wonder if spaying does. I actually don't know that side of things. It's subtle then, that wasn't necessary, or the Sith choice, which we must choose. Vector, let's kill everyone. Let's kill everyone. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty big. Aww. The big baby.
Excellent.
The big baby. With those two barking at the door, no one will ever fuck with your house.
The family can become joiners.
Damn you, damn
That makes me wonder.
House Cortez will have revenge.
Protect the Baron and attack.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize, I don't know. Why didn't I think we were gonna get pulled into battle? Like, that seems kind of obvious. But, like, be mindful because, like, boss fight situations, Serena. Kind of, like, minor boss. I don't even know who I'm attacking right now. Everyone? There's my healers there. Fire! Fire! Ha! Just you? Okay. We did good. We did it. We did it! Hooray! Now I'm curious. Oh, it's the same way. I thought it would maybe only be like the testosterone situation. Uh-oh, what'd you get bonked for? Let's kill everyone and not expect to fight. You know what? I do what I want. Yeah, speaking violence in my chat. Pshaw. Pshaw. There's 2 AI mod settings that you can't turn off anymore, which is violence and bullying. So it's impossible for me to navigate that, unfortunately. Cyogenics blames the French. I don't blame you for blaming the French. Sacre bleu! Supposedly it does. Read somewhere between 9 months and a year is a good time. I would say like a year, year and a half, somewhere around there. I should have waited with Ringo. But my vet didn't really advise anything about the growth plates. He just said if you want him to pee like a girl, like not lift his leg, neuter him now. And I thought that was a good idea, so I neutered him ASAP. Because I was like, you know what? It'd be nice if you peed like a girl. Cause their bones to grow longer as they otherwise would, resulting in abnormal body proportions and increased risk of joint issues later in life. We'll get there when we get there. We'll figure it out. Ringo already gets joint supplements, so it should be okay. Wait until 12 to 18 months of age or after their first heat cycle. So you gotta deal with the period, and then you can spay her. Hello, username. Not today, Automod. Not today. Not today. Your vet kind of sucks when it comes to advice like that. He didn't give you an answer at all about when a good time would be. I love and trust my vet, and he didn't mention anything to me about it either. Which, I'm sure their priority is just population control of sorts, like spay and neuter your pets, but those things are rather important. They affect lifelong health. I'm sure it's just a certain percentage of dogs that it affects, though. I don't think it's every single one that gets spayed or neutered early will encounter issues with it, but it's possible to. So they probably don't see it as that big of a deal. And spay and neuter is some good money for a little bit of effort, which is not bad. What I've realized recently with my vet is
The dead will feed the living.
we've had such a long-term repertoire, and I've done so much research on my own that I think he expects me at this point to tell him what I think the problem is, and then he'll decide whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. Because that's how it was with Gunther's last appointment for his asthma and talking about his heart. It's like, oh, that's possible. Like, you should have said it could be this or this or this before. But that's me in my head not saying that out loud. And with Tigra's seizures, too. It was a little bit of me just saying everything. And him just like, yep, or nope, or yep, or nope. Told me to give him B12, though. I guess B12 helps stop seizures, which is cool. Thank you, Bob Barker. Spay and neuter your pets. I'm the new Bob Barker. Where do I get my hair from? I grew it out of my head. I think my roots are terrible enough right now for that to be incredibly obvious. Sometime in the next couple weeks, I have to bleach my head again. Then we're like one more box tie away from life. Life is blonde arena. Job's
It's all
finished.
over then. The
It's all
terrorists
over
and
then.
Cortez.
She sounds exactly like Keira Knightley in
Become valued
Pirates of the
members
Caribbean.
of the nest. Now, we'd like to bring
She
this
has the
mission
same
to a
voice.
close. With your permission, we'll upload House Cortez's data to Imperial Intelligence.
I look like a knockoff baby of Darth Vader and R2-D2. That's what my outfit looks like in this game right now. That bothers me. Hi, Zeke. Mr. Golden Eyes, what are you doing with your life? Wanna come up and over? You're gonna pimp walk over to your tree. Tree time. Snack time? Tree time. Tree time. Congratulations. Well, thank you.
I'm proud to be of service, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you ever have to deal with dogs that are shy or scared and take yours to get groomed, but she isn't the most social? Yes. I had a very scared dog yesterday that was determined to, like, kill itself rather than groomed. I ended up sending him home just because he was so stressed out by the process. And he went from just biting scared to, like, biting terrified, and there was literally no more I could do. Do I still have the pictures? All I did was shave down his back. I might have deleted them because I was trying to make space in my phone. It's literally all no, I don't have it. All I was able to do was shave down his back. I wasn't able to do his legs, feet, face, anything. And with a muzzle on, he was thrashing. Like, usually when a dog is difficult or, like, nervous, you can lock their joint and then you can manipulate around. And doing that doesn't hurt them. It's just they're aware that, like, you're holding them, so they know not to do anything stupid because they're smarter than that. And this dog was like a cat. Like, he was ready to thrash and roll before I could even try to do anything. Which was an interesting experience, but it happens more often than not. We get scared dogs a lot. I had a shepherd yesterday, first thing in the morning. His name was Sheriff. He was so cute. I loved him. He got sprayed by a skunk, but he was a long-haired shepherd, so they wanted him neatened up and trimmed all over and everything. And he was very scared for it and kind of tense, but he was a very good boy. He's a very, very good boy. Groomers are taught how to handle dogs the best and the most compassionately that they can. And if a dog is truly not able to be groomed, then they will call you and say, hey, for XYZ reason, whether it's biting through the muzzle or freaking out and being scared or whatever the case is, they'll tell you if they can't. It doesn't hurt to try. It never hurts to try. It's nice to not have to bathe them yourself, though. I guess time to leave Alderaan.
That should wrap things up.
Get on out of here. I would say probably 80% of the dogs that come in that aren't regular customers are very shy or very scared. And you just go slow with them. If it's supposed to take an hour and a half, but it takes 3 hours because the dog is scared, then that's how it goes. You have to meet them where they're at. If you find a good shop, they'll be able to do whatever they can do that can be done, I guess is the short answer to that. He was trying to creep, but I did catch him real good. Pimp walked out of there in a hurry, shy of being observed like Mom. I don't like being perceived. That is kind of how I, like, hobble out of the way, though. It is skunk season. Sheriff said, not in my town, and stuck his face into the skunk, and it was bad. His mom was really nice, though. She tipped good, and he was a very good dog. I was very surprised. He did amazing. So I don't have my companion. He's going to be a covert assault agent? Okay.
Understood. Welcome aboard, Vector.
Oh, that means he's with us.
Do our best to live up
Okay.
to expectations.
I don't know if I like him or not yet. I haven't learned enough about him. I trapped a baby raccoon last night accidentally. My camera only records a certain chunk, like an amount of time. So I couldn't post anything of me releasing him in Discord because I didn't have that part on my security cam. Done.
I'll handle
Okay.
it.
But this little idiot, him and his sibling, were playing around, like getting the last of the food scraps in the trap. So I have it set up, like zip tied open, with just one zip tie prior to today. Now there's 2 zip ties on it, but there's just one on it prior to today. That's so the TNR cats will get used to the trap and used to eating out of the trap, so it'll be easier to trap them. It's like trap training. Say trap one more time. Trap training. I wasn't trying to trap anyone. I'm just trying to get the neighborhood cats used to the idea of the trap for when I'm doing TNRs again. And this little idiot, one of them was in there, and then the sibling climbed on top and chewed through the zip tie and trapped its baby brother. And I didn't know this. It wasn't causing a fuss. It wasn't making a racket. It was barely bigger than PB. It was probably about as big as PB, just fluffier. That happened around 10 p.m. And I checked all the cameras before bed, and I went to sleep around, I think, 12:30, something like that last night. And I look, and the trap is closed, and I see something just blobby moving around in there. And I'm like, is there something in the trap? What's going on? So I go outside, and there's a little baby trash panda just stuck in there. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You've been in there for 2 hours, and I didn't even know. He was all panting and kerfuffled, and I felt so bad. It wasn't meant to close. It was supposed to stay open. So now there's 2 zip ties in it. No, not even the mighty woodchuck set off the trap, and he's supposed to chew things. It's probably about as big as, like, these little biddles. Oh, that's not open on here. Hee hee. Probably about as big as these little biddles. He was really, like, okay, here. Just a baby. Like, barely that big. Barely that big. He was so little and cute and so dumb and just... He chewed through the thing that kept it open, and he was stuck for 2 hours, and I feel so bad! I feel so mean. I feel like the biggest asshole in the world. I felt so bad. I had to, like, give him a little skirp so he would scoot back. And then I could, like, open the sides of it. So it doesn't have a front pull like the other one. It's just the ones on the sides that go up and around. And then I had to tap on the back again and just, oh. Siblings. Siblings indeed. Siblings indeed. He was such a little baby. I don't know what baby raccoons are called. Pups? I don't know. I felt so bad though. He was in there for like 2 hours. Kit. It is a kit. Like a fox. Oh. A mother raccoon is called a sow. And an adult male is called a boar. And a group of baby raccoons make a litter. So his litter mate closed him in. I cannot believe he chewed through it. That part I have on camera, but it's like not really clear because it's dark out, but good. Okay, sure. I don't know.
Forward to this.
Yes, our nest
He was
site
just a
was
little
homeland to
guy.
the Empire for many years
I
to
closed
come.
out of that, but I didn't shrink it. Boop. Raccoons are real pigs. Yeah, they are. The way those eat at my trap anyway. Jeez. Oh god, how do I find my ship again? I don't know where my ship is. Return to your ship on Alderaan and contact Watcher 2 as your ship's holoterm. Who remembers where my ship is? Spaceport? I saw something somewhere. On the time. Spaceport? Let's try the taxi that's over here. Oh wait, I'm all the way the fuck. Where? Let's try over here first? If not, maybe the thing that actually says spaceport? But we landed like at House of Cortez, I think. So maybe it's here? I don't know. Little guy actually hated his brother. Thought he got rid of him. It's like, you're being annoying. As kids do. Down here maybe? I can't believe he chewed through the damn, whatchamacallit, the zip tie and just trapped him. He was in there for like 2 hours. I'm surprised he didn't like, well, I guess he's small. He couldn't have really bumped it over to the side because he was a little guy. Because you'd think I would hear it like banging on the house, but he was just kind of running back and forth upset. How close or far am I to this? Would it be around? Because it wasn't down there. Run around with the key fob listening for the chirp. I've done that many times in a parking garage. Some turrets. There's the taxi man.
Ready for departure.
Spaceport. Spaceport. Bueller? 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 It would have to be that one, right? Let's go. Let's go. Wait, are we not in the world where I had the flying sea turtle? I miss my flying sea turtle. I miss my flying sea turtle. Go, Ziggy, go! You gonna go potty time? You got this. Do good stuff. Do good stuff. You got this. You got this. Conquest objective completed. Obtain a taxi. Like what?
Open for business.
So that's gonna be everything else that we just looked at. So there's this is where the spaceport is. This is the spaceport you are searching for. Imperial Cadillac. It does kind of have that build. Just a little. Just a little. Rucatus Spaceport. So a general that-a-way direction. How do I get out and around to the that-a-way? Whee! Can I climb the mountain? Like, can I go over this way? This would be a fun hill to sled down. Look at that. That's a perfect sledding hill. That's beautiful. Oh, get up there. Get up there. Dang it! I thought I could shortcut. I was wrong. Stupid R2 Vader. Darth D2. That's what I'm going to be based on my outfit. Darth D2. Watch, it's like right behind me in some weird way. I don't think this is right. Where's there a road to the spaceport? There's really not. I don't know who Clyde the orangutan is. I think the only great ape I know on a first name basis would be Coco the gorilla. I loved watching her stuff when I was a kid. They had it on like the PBS Kids website. It was so neat. They had their own website too. It was amazing. Rip Coco. Is there an inside to a building over here? Ah, that seems like the most obvious. Let's do that. Years ago, you were in Palm Springs at a friend's place. And they had a really old Cadillac sedan that you drove around called the Land Yacht. Them bitches are big. They're very big. They're boats. Well, some of them are. When I was looking at my car, there was a DeVille in the shop, and it was like a goddamn boat. It would not fit in my garage. Oh crap. What am I? Am I a bounty hunter agent? That doesn't help. Imperial agent. I am Imperial. Sith Inquisitor, Sith Warrior. Bounty Hunter. Imperial Agent. That's the one we want. The one far over on the left or right, depending on which way you're facing. Down or up? Up? Not up. Yes, up. What are you scratching on? The back of the chair. That's weird. You've never done that before. Whereas, like, historically, leave that chair alone. Where am I going? Who knows? Perpetually lost Serena. Some things never change. Sit all four across the front seat. I'm sure. Them bitches got spice. Like the spaceport. Although less easy to get lost in a Cadillac. Well, depending on if you're meaning inside, like not driving. Than in the spaceport. Alligator Joe used to wrestle alligators. Who's Alligator Joe? Is he Jack Hanna's cousin? Some of those old cars can barely fit on the road even. I'm sure like the roads were different with paving at certain points in time. Where they actually did fit. But these days, oh god, no. It would be very nerve-wracking to drive. Because like you have to be perfectly in the lane. And you would see everyone passing so close and the guardrail so close. That would make me anxious. Good job, Zeke. I'm very proud of you. You did good things. Good job, buddy. Don't climb on my printer. I need my printer. Do you want to come up? And do some lap time? Maybe. Ow. No. You need your nails done so bad and you just won't let me do it. No, it feels like you're in a tank, which is nice. But it is nerve-wracking to be so close to the lines and everything else. Where's my Halo terminal? We have too many ships. We have one too many ships. Hello, terminal. Zeke says, can I move my camera that far? Zeke says, look at my butt. Zeke says, hello, everybody. It very rarely goes on the desk. That was interesting. I'll get this out of your way. It's cool now. My hair got wilder and wilder as the humidity of the weekend went on. I had to straighten it today. That was inexcusable.
Secure transmission established. This is Watcher 2. Your efforts to destabilize the tow network are working better than expected, Cypher. Unfortunately, I don't have good news. We attempted to capture the Eagle in a raid on Thullerton. We found
there was an attempt.
But the man had moved on.
He's nothing without allies.
We'll keep
Let's go with that.
Network. Agreed. Sooner or later, he'll have nowhere to run. We've also been researching the
nowhere to run.
Devices. They're satellites.
Excuse me. Nowhere to hide.
Enough firepower to level a city. Here's the bizarre thing. The terrorists aren't building the eradicators. They're growing them.
They're growers, not showers. So we're fighting trees now.
What do you mean, growing?
Are we fighting? I don't want to fight trees. I don't want to fight Groot. I don't want to fight the Ents.
Batteries in a weaponized shell. The terrorists don't need factories anymore. They can grow eradicators wherever there's room.
So what's the plan, Stan?
We'll continue gathering information. We know what the eradicators are, but not where or how they'll be used. You have your own mission.
Orangutans are, of course, wild and super dangerous if you mess with them. All apes are... Oh, yeah. All apes are dangerous if you mess with them. Don't fuck with apes. Well... Defeat enemy counts towards achievements are doubled for 30 minutes. Let's do it. Oh, we have 2 of those. That doesn't clear space. Gift to your companion. I did not have a current. Give me my companion back, you little shit. Can I have him back, maybe, at least? It's my inventory's full of stuff. I want to keep that because that's for an upgrade. I don't have the color crystal for that, but I like it. Give my ship some whatever it was. Those are all things I want to use next time. Electrum commitment ring. What am I? Anakin and Padme. Look at me, I got 1 spot open now. Give me my reward. Travel to Tatooine. You've been instructed to travel to Tatooine as a part of your mission to eliminate the Eagles, galaxy-spanning terrorist network. The Eagles are already responsible for thousands of civilian deaths in the assassination of Darth Jadis. His forces must be stopped before they do further damage to the Empire. Use your ship's galaxy map to travel to the planet Tatooine. You are now free to move about the spaceship. Pardon. Galaxy map. I don't think I'm actually tired yawning. I think I'm not enough oxygen yawning because it's hard to breathe today. Controlled by contested. What are they a contestant in? I am Groot. I don't have more storage in my inventory right now. Actually, like all over in my life, I don't have any more storage. I don't have any more storage in my house. I don't have any more storage in my phone. I don't have any more storage in my inventory. I'm shit out of storage everywhere. My garage is full.
Updating encryption protocols.
It's a very accurate assessment. You don't have storage. You are correct. I do not have storage. Floor is storage. Just one big flat shelf. Oh wait, is this a ship where we do have a storage room? What is this place? What's this? What's this?
Tatooine is a desert world. Binary star system, minimal life forms, sparsely populated by
Sounds like you need to be on Hoarders. It probably looks like I need to be on Hoarders right now. Because I had everything like half-ass packed to move. And that's not happening. So I need to, at some point when I have time, put everything else out where I want it. And unpack everything that I packed. I spent like a year packing, so there's like a year to unpack. Zeke.
unusual in what
Zeke.
methodology,
Stop. Thank you.
species, methodology, and function.
I think he thinks the Voya cat is real. Because he just listened way better and Gunther's sitting by Voya. Everything does have a purpose. I actually heard something, a really good rule lately. What was it? Specifically. So like the Marie Kondo method is, does it spark joy? But the other method is, the poop method. So, anything on your desk. I don't have anything decorative out. Say this, for instance. My sound effects buttons. Woo! You guys are amazing. Ah, the crowd goes wild. If this was covered in poop, would I just throw it away? Or would I find a way to clean it and save it? So apparently that's how you're supposed to organize your life, is by the poop method. Where you would save something and clean it if it was covered in poop. Or you would throw it away and not even bother with it if it was covered in poop. I kind of like that, honestly. Because there's many things that I get sentimental about, and it's like, I would throw this away if it was covered in poop, because I can just replace it. Versus, I really can't see much anything the other elsewise. Here. Our stream bell. If it was covered in poop, I'd clean it and save it. It's a kind of silly sounding, but, well, like, theoretical poop, not actual poop, right? So, I mean, like, yeah, it depends on whose poop. Some things can't be saved. You're absolutely correct. Zeke! 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 Stop! Stop. Let me turn your toy on. But the main idea being, like, if this was disgusting and, like, beyond repair, would it still matter to me? Yes or no? So whenever I unpack all of the shit that was going to go to the French, I'm going to use the poop method. Never know what to do when your phone runs out of storage? Just close the storage folder and keep going. See, I can't do that because then I can't... Once your phone gets to a certain point of full, it won't take things from the cloud or even from what hasn't been uploaded to the cloud just on your phone and let you upload pictures of anything. So I keep locking up my posts by not having storage. So I've been going through and deleting like past pictures and things that I don't need anymore, and duplicates and imports and all of that. Offloading some apps that I don't use, deleting some apps that I'll never use, but my storage needs to be heavily managed. Heavily managed. It is an interesting method. I came across it on Twitter and I was like, what the fuck is the poop method? That's the poop method. Zeke does love that toy. He gets very happy about it. He's stalking it from under the chair. Stalker. Tell me more. I wanted to be fighting bitches. I activated a thing, goddammit.
It's troubling. We're targeting Tatooine.
Now I want the tac-tacs.
Claiming to be a former Ghost Cell member.
Gunther is so cute next to Voya over there. Aww.
He wants a face-to-face meeting.
Zeke respects the big man on campus. I'll be gentle.
I can use a delicate touch. See his paranoia and dispose of him when you've eliminated the cell. He's waiting for a call from a holocron terminal in town. Stay on guard. Watch your 2 out.
It's actually quite a humbling thought that like 99% of things in my desk, except like maybe my glasses, I would just get rid of, which means it doesn't need to be out here in the first place. Some things I would save, like my little colored drawy cards, expos, etc. We're going out of the slow season and back into the busy-ish season. Use the public holo terminal. That's not that. Public holo terminal. When we have a slow season again, like back to school time, I'll be unpacking everything around then. Something like that. So he keeps trying to hide behind the flower pot. Were you? Aw. That's his emotional support flower pot. It was in his first space that he was in this house. Make contact with your source by using a public holo terminal he designed in Illa? Thriller. I'm guessing that means we leave the ship and go to a thing. Outside. Out of the box. Out of the box. Zoom. I actually thought I lost these. I didn't remember that they were in here. I thought they were in the kitchen, and I thought I put them somewhere strange. No, he's not being scared. He likes to jump at that thing. He likes to stalk it and jump at it. Wait for the opportune moment in the perfectly timed out little machine. I keep forgetting. I want to text what that toy is to my coworker. Because she has a cat that needs constant stimulation. Like, truly, if you don't give her enough attention, she starts grooming herself bald. And I wanted to mention that toy and the Rolly one that PB has. And I keep forgetting. But I don't want to text it to her because that's like bugging people in their off time. And I keep forgetting when I'm at work. Hopefully I remember tomorrow. Am I scheduled for anything yet tomorrow? My scheduling app for work stopped working on my phone. Thankfully, the day that I was told I don't have to clock out anymore. So now I have to have it open on the computer, which means my computer is probably going to stay on all night so that I can see this first thing in the morning when I wake up. I'm going to wake up at the right time for work and just get Gunther into the vet. And then, worst case scenario, they start scheduling me for dogs at 10 because I let them know that Gunther has to go in. And then we'll figure it out from there if I go in or not. It's kind of stressful that it's like a self-reliant thing of, like, I just need to look at the schedule and come in if I'm scheduled versus like saying, hey, we need you today for sure. Which, it's not an imposition to look at the schedule, but they're very disorganized there. Which honestly tracks and makes sense because the owners aren't groomers. They're just smart guys who understand that the pet industry will always be lucrative because it is the pet industry. There will never be a time where there are no vets offices or grooming offices or whatever, grooming shops. Any kind of pet care, anything. I do have my companion, then can I give you the shit? Damn. Get the fuck out of my inventory.
Thank you.
Oh, can I use this? I think so.
Increasing combat.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, we don't need that anymore. Destroy. Destroy. Can't outsource or be replaced by AI yet. True. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think that's something that could be taken over by AI. Unless all of the animals were, like, sedated for the process. Because then you could plug it in, like, dog's height, dog's weight, dog's coat length, dog's size, and it would be able to figure out how to go over the animal. But the animal would have to be stationary, like, standing up, but, like, sedated for it. Because a robot can't predict unpredictable movements, like the Shih Tzu that I had yesterday that I had to send home. His mom was so nice about it. Like, so nice. She knew her dog was a little bit naughty, which is okay. I felt bad, though, because I had, like, pretty much two options to give her of either... Because he's not groomable. Like, it's not just our policy. It's literally he's not going to be able to be groomed. Where's my person for this? She can either go to the vet and have him sedated and have him groomed that way, which is expensive. Or I offered if she brought him in every 2 weeks, then we could desensitize him to the process. Kind of like what you would do with a puppy, where you don't put a blade on the clipper. Pretend this is the clipper blade. You would take it off and then just turn the clipper on and let them feel the buzz over their skin. I think you guys saw me do that with little kid while I was grooming Pippi once on stream. Just to see like how they would gauge with it. And if he had that consistently, in about 3 to 6 months, he would be able to be groomed. In my opinion, I would think. Some dogs are stubborn, you never know. But that's $50 every 2 weeks for her to bring her dog in. Like, that's a lot to ask. That's expensive. So hopefully they find some kind of solution. Because I felt so bad. The dog was so terribly behaved and, like, was biting the fuck out of me and ripping off the muzzle and biting the fuck out of me and ripping off the muzzle and biting the fuck out of me. But he was genuinely scared. It wasn't from a place of malice. Some dogs are assholes and they're mean. But it was not a place of malice. Where's this thing? Oh, wait, it's a hollow terminal, not a person. So where is that? Where would it be? Not that far around. Maybe around the other side of this? No, that's going too far. On the other side of this. Welcome, Nikki. Hope you're having a good week so far. Welcome. Should be right fucking here. Can we go inside of that building? Is it in that building? Like, I would think if they left it out in the open, it would collect a lot of sand and it would bog up, you know? I don't think I can go in that building. Where the fuck is your holo terminal? Let me run around and fight things and not waste the power-up that I used. God blame it. That's not a holo terminal. Where is this bitch? Is it that big bloopy thing? That's too far off the map too. I don't know, sometimes it's not always perfectly accurate. You gotta think for yourself a little bit. But none of that is a holo terminal. Oh my god, where are you? I'm gonna give up in 1 second. 1 Mississippi. Okay, I'm done. I'm done! I'm done! I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. Didn't feel bad leaving your dog with someone knowing they were going to be like that. Yeah, the dog was choppy. So either they already went to another groomer and they got told no there, or she tried home grooming at home and the dog freaked out. I don't think they knew, oh, there it is. The dog would be that bad. But I'm not going to make a dog stress out just to get what the best attempt of a haircut is. It's not worth it. I will choose compassion every single time when necessary. And the scary thing with Shih Tzus too is when they get super stressed, their eyeballs can pop out. Which really should be seen by a vet, but if it's not too serious, you can massage it back in with some oil. But he was on the verge of like getting to that level of stressed out, and I was just like, no, we're done. We're done. We're gonna call your mom. You go home. This is too much for you. Are you my contact? Are you my mother? Or father? What's the bird book by Dr. Seuss? Are you my mother? I think. Slow start of the week, but getting there. Nice. It's only Monday. You have plenty of days. More information. More information. More information. They can predict unpredictable, but can observe and react with inhuman timing. That would be interesting to see in a grooming environment, honestly. But, like, challenging to test because, like, what if there was some unpredictable level of cruelty that the AI doesn't understand as cruelty involved? Like, if a dog goes off the table and it, like, smacks it back on, for instance. Like, that would be a gray area. I don't know if that ever would come to be. Maybe in, like, 100 years when AI has truly taken over and can do anything and everything. Then what?
Where do we make contact?
Then what? You're looking at one of the AI labs at MIT thinking they're teaching a robot to play soccer. It's just dribbling, but it's moving and reacting to the object. That's really cool. Are You My Mama is Dr. Seuss? I thought it was a Dr. Seuss. Is it by someone else? I don't know. I liked whatever that book was when I was a kid. Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the cult. It is. Whatever you want it to be by B is a choose your own adventure, and thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. I spelled that wrong. Is it S-E, not S-U? Yes. I am not Dr. Seuss, but I do know the story. Well, no shit, you're not Dr. Seuss, motherfucker. Oh god. You My Mother is a beloved children's book. Well, it was edited by Dr. Seuss and launched under his beginner book series. I had the beginner books. It's actually written and illustrated by P.D. Eastman. So they're the same. They're actually the same. 2 in 1. Not the same people, but different authors, I guess. Editor versus author. It was such a cute book. I don't know why I liked it so much. Maybe the cover, because she asked the dog. He, she. I don't think the gender of the bird is ever truly revealed. I don't remember exactly, though. It's been a long time. I don't think I have my childhood books. I think my dad still has them. All my Dr. Seussies. I don't remember having them here. I don't think I do. I know those AI data centers have made your electric bill go crazy. What? They're gonna do what now? That really is a thing? Why is it spiking your electricity when they're the ones using the power? How does that work? You guys are smarter than me. Explain that one. I believe you, but I am now scared and I don't understand it. It affects the rates the companies charge. Oh, so it's like, I don't know, say 10 cents per kilowatt of power per hour or whatever it is. 10 cents is probably unrealistic. I don't know what the actual price is. But for example's sake, so it would effectively change it to like $2 per kilowatt per hour or whatever. That's stinky. I never considered that part of it. That's rude. That's very rude. Who is this merchant? Who are they? Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the cult. It is whatever you want it to be, baby. It is also choose your own adventure, and thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. I don't know what we're gonna do. Well, I have a couple of ideas, but I haven't put them together definitively yet. I don't know what we're going to do for our next bikini cosplay, but I'm excited for it. Up by 5, you overachievers. Thank you, thank you. I'm sure 10 cents is not the answer. I wonder, actually. What is it? Here. I think I offloaded comment because I said, I don't need you. I don't have space for you. I guess we're going to have bad storms again on Wednesday, too, but hopefully not terribly. Hopefully not terribly. Dr. Seuss was a pen name. His actual name was Theodore Geisel? Geisel? Yeah, that one. That one. The national average is around 20. It's like 30 to 40 by you. I wonder what actually is here. Because I want to compare that in the future. If and when they do put something up. So I can have something else to bitch about. Is it actually kilowatts per hour, though? I got that part right. Hell yeah! Oh, you're gonna make me sign in again? Because I offloaded you? Because I said, I don't need you. I don't need no electric company app. I'm a strong, independent woman. And I do need it. I don't need it, but I want it. Bill. I think it'll say on the PDF for the bill, right? Ring is all twisty. It's impossible for there to be something under my bed except more bed because my bed is on the floor because I am a gremlin. I'm a child of the internet. My electric bill is $2.93 this month, though. Do you guys know how that happened? How I finagled the system for that one? Where does it say? I don't think it says itemized. Oh, there. 0.169 per kilowatt per hour. Last year they did an 8.9% rate hike. As soon as it went into effect, they announced they're going to do another one this year. That is so fucked. So my electric bill is usually between like $150 and $300 depending on what I'm doing. I got it down to $2.93 this month because I accidentally paid it twice last month. That's the only reason why. It's technically already paid. I just used $2.93 more power in this period versus the last. I did not steal power from the neighbors. I accidentally paid my electric bill twice. It was on auto pay, but I was trying to itemize everything so I'm not like missing anything and forgetting whatever. And I forgot it was on auto pay, and I paid it, and then it came out on auto pay, so it got paid twice. I really hope it doesn't go up because I won't be able to afford power. We'll be streaming with candles in a McDonald's parking lot. Alright, where are we going? Be streaming with candles. Yeah, that's my life hack. Pay your electric bill twice, and then it's really, really cheap the next month. It's little things in life. Oh, you. Good though. You get combat extra XP. Let's go, baby. For like, what, 4 more minutes? Then I have to film something and bop down with Gigi and eat dinner and get to sleepy. Gigi sniffed my finger the other night. I put it in front of like her little mesh area because she was being extra like walking around and like curious and interested. And she sniffed my finger. She didn't even hiss. She sniffed my finger. I don't think I need that. Recovery oh yeah, I do. Okay. That is important to the mission. Would still watch. You know what? I appreciate that a lot. I don't know how well it would be, how functional it would be to watch. I don't know how strong McDonald's Wi-Fi is. I've only used it in days out of power. But yeah, if it got raised more than what it is, I would not be able to afford that. Really though, I think it's mostly, I mean the AC in the summer, but my stream lights, which aren't on as much anyway. Sad. And I have so many air purifiers and fans and 2 dehumidifiers in the basement. And I think all of those combined, like constantly running, really jack it up. Did I not take the thing from you too? Oh, oops. Maybe we need one more. Where's the other guy? You. You over there. Hey, hey, you. Targeting would help. It seems cheap when it's like closer to 150, but it doesn't feel cheap when it's closer to 300. Because that's what it'll start to be with the air on. No bueno. Am I taking these to like this guy? What? I don't think so. He's truly the most NPC. Doorway! How do I never find the doorways in here? This winter, you're getting up to 350 in your crappy house. Do you have electric heat or gas heat,
We
though?
were expecting something fancier.
Good droids. Many droids. You're coming to shop now?
I feel like we would have the opposite.
Look around.
Oh, really? That's quite a bit for electric, then. What's your business? That's brutal. My gas bill gets very, very big in the winter, and that sucks. They compensate each other. The gas bill is minuscule in the summer. Electric bill is high in the summer, and vice versa in the winter. Oh, that's where it's getting you, is the space heater. Those suck so much power. Not saying don't use it, because by all means, be cozy, but those things suck a massive amount of power. I was terrible to meet you.
Does that mean anything?
Holocrons? Yeah. Yes, for these
I have noticed over the years, though, it's gotten more and more expensive. Not just in price hikes, though, because my house is only getting older. But new builds leak just the same, I feel like. Unless you buy something from, like, the early 90s or late 80s, I don't think anything is sealed anymore. Because outside of that time frame of, like, 85 to maybe, like, 98, Everything before that is getting old, so it drafts. Everything after that is too new and shitty builds, so it drafts. There's no good in between. Alright.
Thank you. I'm sure that will do nicely.
Takes a lot of energy to change the temperature. It does. Houses settle and insulation degrades indeed.
Shall we?
I need to re-insulate the garage. Well, I mean, ideally the garage, but I've never insulated the garage. I was gonna say the attic, but for some reason, garage came out of my mouth instead of attic. Doorway? Let's see what's up with whoever's over here, and then song out for the night. I really appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. I know we've had very, very smushy and short and sporadic streams, and we're moving back into the groove and flow of things slowly and surely.
You sure you weren't followed?
But I appreciate you guys willing to go along with this silly little timeline. I wasn't followed.
Your instructions, and I was watching all the way.
We're good.
Safe. All right.
My house is definitely settled while I've lived here, though. The windows leak a lot more than they used to.
The ghost cell can look like anyone. Holographic disguise.
That's quite clam. No, it's quite claim. Just stay calm. You're being paranoid. Stay calm. Calm down, babe. Calm down.
From the beginning.
Calm down.
I used to be part of
Aww. Even more of a treat when it's spontaneous, unexpected Serena stream.
Organized bombings and sabotage.
Just jumping into all of your faces. Hey! I exist!
Last year, insecurity cracked down. Most of us died.
I do like the fun of spontaneity.
Me a way out.
But I'm very... I don't know. For as flexible and like kind of chaotic as I am and can be, I like a routine. I need a routine. I'm very type A in that way. It's a weird combination of like type A and ADHD. So it's not like perfectly type A, but I like things a perfect way. And that's just my dad coming out of my mouth. I think visits are out of the window for the rest of the year, because any conventions that I would have planned for the rest of the year are on weekends, and I'm full-time on weekends now. I'll figure out next year what conventions I can do and what I can take time off for, because it depends if it's busy season or slow season. Really hope I'll be able to take a Saturday for World of Wheels next year, but Saturdays are like the busiest day. But that's far in the future. Maybe I won't even work there then. I don't know. Lucky for you.
Your buddies died while you joined the...
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Stop it. It wasn't like
I was planning on doing ASIN. That's not going to happen. I was planning on doing Fan Expo. That's not going to happen. And that would have been the end of conventions for the year.
A few dozen fighters from around the galaxy, training under their leader, the old man.
You lost your chance. You took too long. Now we're getting somewhere.
He was
Tell me more, tell me more. Good boy, Gunther.
He taught us how to move unseen. Kill anyone.
Apparently the He-Man movie is doing really poorly. Aww.
Experiment with
I mean, it looked cheesy, but you would think, like, the nostalgia aspect,
Then they started kidnapping civilians.
it would get a lot more...
So we could practice.
Is it doing poorly in views? Or reviews? Horrible. Horrible.
People were innocent.
Aww, you still have the dice that I got you from C2E2? Those are cool. I'm trying to think where mine is. I think mine are with my convention stuff, because I did a deal for rolling dice
Supplies from some smuggler in town.
last year, and I think they're still with
Flush him
them.
out, he can lead us there.
That's awesome. That's what they're meant to be, stress balls. Are they still holding their shape with all of your stress? Or are they smushy now?
Someone we could lean on for information.
Not
200 million
myself.
budget, only 87
My
million in
friends would lean on my
sales.
intelligence.
Where is everyone from my age group, and why are they not going to see it?
Wouldn't be hard to plant them on customers in the local cantina. People who know
Although,
things.
maybe it has something to do with the time of year that it's being released. This is graduation season, it's wedding season, it's vacation season. People are out and about doing things that aren't watching movies.
Family parties and all of that.
This could be fun.
I could make a scene. I'll monitor the trackers and call you when someone gets in touch with Dragon Eyes.
Maybe that's impacting it. I'd be curious to see what it budgets after like 2 weeks from now. We get another butt plug with this one. It's less powerful than the one I have. What a great reward. So next time on Serena TV, we have to play tag. Tag a Cantina bouncer. Tag a Cantina patron. And tag a Cantina waitress. Why can't we tag scrippers? I'm gonna say tag, you're it. I was out of the camera view. It's clashing with all the He-Man themed weddings. I don't know if I'd go that far with it, but like work was relatively slow this weekend. Like average booking on Saturday and Sunday was super slow. We closed at 3 on Sunday. I was very, very tired on Sunday. Friday night, I only slept about 3 hours. And Saturday night, I slept like 4 hours and 20 minutes. Nowhere near enough to be able to be the most mentally functional I could be. I was bummed. I was mad at myself yesterday. I wanted to stream when I got home yesterday, and I was just like blurry-eyed going through the zoo, doing everything that needed to be done. Like, I can't do this even if I wanted to, and I got emotional about it. And then I was like, I'm getting emotional. I shouldn't stream anyway because I'm just gonna cry all night. I took it too far. But that's my logic on why it's been a little slow at work. This is just wedding season, graduation season, see family season, go on vacation season. People are out and about doing things, and it's been nice out. Rather wear a He-Man outfit than a tux. Be down, just need to find my Skeletor. Do it. Dude, I'll dress up as Skeletor. Don't put it past me. I'll do it. I'll do it. But I might be a Jedi from time to time because the hood will throw me off and I'll start talking to people like I can do Jedi mind control. Tatooine is the home of the Ghost Cell, a training program for terrorists specializing in stealth, infiltration, and assassination. You must locate and destroy the Ghost Cell's base of operations with the help of Mia Hawkins, a former cell member. In order to flush out the Ghost Cell's it's not Ghost in the Shell, it's Ghost Cell supplier. Mia's asked you to place trackers on locals at the Silt Shift Cantina. Once the trackers are in place, speak to the Cantina bartender about the Ghost Cell and stir up trouble. Alright, we stir up some trouble. Next stream. Need to hear your Skeletor, Nya. Remind me next stream when I have a bit more of a voice. My voice is being a little butt tonight. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or... Did I grab everything? If it's just the weather. My voice has been scrunchy and scraggly. And all day I've had like a cough that I can't cough. It feels like I should be able to cough something up, but I just can't. Hack, hack. Hack, hack. It's annoying. I took an allergy pill before stream and it's helped clear it up a little bit, but I know it's going to come back tonight. If you dress as Skeletor, you're required to come up with a good until next time sayings. What? My until next time on Serena TV isn't good enough? It's not good enough? It's not good enough? No. It was supposed to be. I tried. I tried. I'm kind of bummed. I think that Love in Deep Space would have been kind of fun. It would have been interesting, like even if we just played it for a night. It would have been cute. I don't know. Maybe this phone has space. Maybe I'll put it on here and see what it's like. Because I can share my screen. It just would be weird to like... I don't know how to play with a phone upright. I've just never done that. I don't know how well that would work with a tripod. I would probably like knock it over. But at the same, oh, maybe it costs money too. I don't know. At the same time, it might be fun, at least for a night. She did say there's parts of it that are against TOS on Twitch though, which I think it would have to be kick only. Love and Deep Space. Is it free to play? I like this playlist. As a deep space hunter, you will fight against the onslaught of mysterious alien creatures together with love interests. Along the way, your paths intertwine, and the secrets about your fates and humanity's future will be revealed. I don't know. I'm sure at some point it will not be free to play, or maybe there's just ads in it. Yeah, I can screen share in the same way that I do like cat cam. It would work out fine that way. It would just, I would either be looking down at my phone and my camera the whole time, which would be annoying. Like, who wants to watch a stream where she's going like this? Or I would have to put my phone up. I wonder if I could just Velcro it to the computer and just like do it that way. Make a phone game a computer game. I want to try it. I've never played an Atome game. Maybe I'll like it. I don't know. Said it was a gacha game, which are generally free to play with stuff hidden behind the lottery like a pay thing. Oh, so like most things are accessible, but if you want special stuff, then you money it. Put googly eyes on top of your head. Problem solved. You know what I can do that's really creepy, actually? This really fucks me up. I don't like this setting. My camera can force eye contact. So, like, hold on to your butts, because this is going to make you, like, get freaked out and crap your pants. It's the eye contact setting. So no matter where I look, it should focus my eyes like I'm looking forward. Isn't that weird? That's so weird. I don't like that. Like, don't move my eyeballs for me. Isn't that creepy? I'm turning it off now. That's very creepy. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It freaks me out just looking at me on the other side of my camera. I apologize for any freaking out I just did of everyone, but I mean, like, that would work, but it would be fucking weird. It'd be fucking weird as fuck. He's the most handsome man in the world. Voya's cuddle clone got here today. I'm gonna show you guys and then jump to Eeps. Jump to Eeps! Supposed to be here like last week, but I kind of forgot about it. And it arrived today. And I was grumpy and I was mad. I was like, where's this fucking package on my porch? I didn't buy anything. I didn't order anything. I didn't do anything. Who the fuck is this for? What is this? Blah, 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 blah. And then it was Mr. Bean. I wasn't crabby anymore. He's perfect. They got his stripes perfect. His face is a little funny looking right now. Number one, because that's their mold. Like, that's just how they do all faces. It's not that they fucked it up. They all look like that for cats. He's just a little lopsided. It's like you gotta, like, smush him back into place, kind of. But I can only do that, like, for a couple of smushes before I'm like, I'm hurting you. What am I doing smushing you? This isn't right. So I'll get there as time goes on. But he's gonna be a little lopsided for now. But he's perfect. The only thing that didn't get perfectly right is his tail. This much of his tail should be all black instead of that stripe there. But that's okay. My beautiful gray boy passed away in April. So, yes, a fake cat. A very expensive fake cat. Shout out to my aunt for being the best aunt ever and understanding my psychotic emotional needs. You gotta cuddle him back into place. He has like a wonky leg a little bit. Kind of I guess he's meant to be crisscross applesauce, maybe. Does that look right? Oh yeah, probably. His tail. I just wish his tail was longer, because Voya had a long tail, but it's proportionate. I feel like it wouldn't look much different if I did taxidermy him, though. Like, his face would still be... Or his face would be perfect, and that would be the only difference. Like, I can feel the extra squish here. This is my coping mechanism, because I can't live without him. He was my soulmate. Now he's home. It's a little weird looking at a different face, like different face shape. But if I go like this, like I used to do with him, and hold him right up to my face, he looks exactly the same. Like, it's precise. It's weird. I've been, like, smiling insanely and then crying, like, all day since he got here. Because I'm like, you're here, and I'm so happy. And then I start crying. I'm like, you're here, I'm so happy. And then I start crying. It's silly. It's really cool. I gotta smush out his whiskers a little bit more. But I'm amazed. I'm so amazed. I only gave you... Oh, there are 2 whiskers there. I need to smush your face. This side of his face is all squish. This side is proper. I need to, like, smush it back in. But that feels so wrong to do. No, there's no replacing him. If I knew how special he was going to be, I would have saved his sperm before I neutered him. Like, 100% genuinely. And I would never... It's a weird feeling, because I would never advocate nor want to breed cats or make more kittens in the world. But to have something genetically similar to him, I 100% would. Gunther didn't care about it at first, but now he's been laying by him, which is nice. Zeke was curious about it right away. I think Zeke thinks it is Voya, because he was much less snarky with Gunther earlier. And Gunther was laying by him. Doesn't it look like it would be as good as taxidermy? They did a really good job. It's a cuddle clone. He's a plushie. He's squishy. I didn't know how special he was going to be 12 hours into having him, though. So he just snipped his nuts, and that was the end of it. He turned out good, though. I will say, it probably is approximately worth the money to do a cuddle clone. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, or like if it would be, or whichever. And I felt bad that my aunt was taking a chance on that, but he's perfect. He's perfect, and now he is immortal. He is immortal. Zeke really respected Voya, and I think that helped with Gunther laying next to him. Hooray for my auntie. She's the best. They're cat people, though. They get it. Like, her cats are, especially her children now that the kids have flown the coop, my niece and nephew. Because my niece is still in school and my nephew is in the military now. Hoorah. Hoorah, nephew. Hooray, aunt. I think it's hoorah, army. Which one is army? Or National Guard, whatever. I don't know exactly what he is. He's one of those things. I went to this website my aunt offered to do. They had a deal going on, thankfully, too, because I think usually it would be closer to like $600, but it was about just shy of $4, which is a very expensive plushie. I am grateful for. Marines is hoorah mostly. Oorah. Oh, I thought there was different ones for each sect of military. Some of the bigger ones are expensive. I would imagine so. If I was doing one of the dogs, I think it would cost a lot more just because it would be a bigger plush. They did do a really good job. Like, my only complaint is the face is not exactly the same, but that's... they're molding, so I can't do anything about that. I think they only have probably, like, maybe 3 faces for cats, whereas dogs, they've specialized into like many other breeds. But there's not really many differences in cat faces, you know? I mean, like, Gunther has wide eyes, like, good for him, but like most cat heads are the same unless it's the cat's like Lucifer and Cinderella that look like they ran into a door. The flat nosers. Oh, what is the breed? I can't think of the breed. There's a couple of breeds. Persians and exotic short hairs. When they have that face. No nose. No nose. No thoughts. Head empty. Smoosh. Smooshy, baby. Army is like a hurrah. Hoo-ah. Who are you? That's what that makes me think of. The caterpillar from Alice. Alright, Club Cult. That was going to be our night for tonight. But, thank you guys so much for zooming through on another random Serena day of life. Ideally, I'd like to do games night tomorrow. I took everything for the schedule off for the week. I think until like the end of the month-ish, I won't have a general idea of days that I for sure can do versus can't do. That's the goal right now, is not spreading myself too thin. Because today is insane. I did like all of my life tasks in case I don't have time to do them the rest of the week. Didn't run errands. Still need to run errands at some point. Did a vet appointment for dude. Got the house as clean as it's going to get for the next few days. It is what it is. Did my dishes. Filled my vitamins. Got dude to his appointment. Got scheduled into work. Gunther has his appointment first thing in the morning. I have to drop him off. And then work from there. And I'm missing something else. Oh, and stream. Exactly what I'm doing right now. I have to go. I have to be awake at 4:30 in the morning. Probably 4 tomorrow, so that I can get Gunther in and still be on a good timeline. That's the goal, though. Don't spread yourself too thin. Can run my errands. Okay, you have to go to the feed store and get dog food. You have to go to PetSmart and get litter. You need to go to the vape store and get vapes. You need to go to the grocery store and get groceries. And there's something else on my list that I don't remember what it is, but it's something to do. I know there's one more thing. I just don't remember what the other thing is. It's all on paper. But I hope you get some good sleep tonight, too. Thank you. It was wonderful to see you all. And glad the zoo got to say hi. Yeah, see, exactly. It's two very differing of opinions. We can run your errands, and then only Superwoman can do that. Hi, I'm Superwoman. But Superwoman is just a woman sometimes, okay? Can only do so much. We'll have to divide and conquer. Never been in a vape store. Honestly, they're all kind of sketchy. I don't know. I always feel like I'm doing something I shouldn't when I go in there. Like, they feel like the small cigarette shops that I used to buy cigarettes from before I was 18. Where, like, you knew they weren't going to card you because they're small and, like, the owners just don't care. Versus the gas station is definitely going to card you. So I always feel like I'm being naughty when I go into the vape shop. Like, it's just that kind of vibe. Like, I'm getting away with something. Yeah, I'm getting away with parting with dollars. If you bebs want to keep up with me offline, hop into the Disky Boo. Yeah, just a little bit naughty. Cousin Fred up in this bish. Otherwise, we got the fun stuff. The socials. Some more fun stuff. The sketch that is completely empty but will be updated at some point, including Discord. I'm just updating announcements in Discord and the schedule at roughly the same time frame. That's the best notifier tool that I have at the moment. Thank you all for being a part of the Stream the Dreams project. Thank you all for hanging out with the Zoo Beans and I tonight. And thank you all for your support with the Voya's goals. I think we are close to 25. I need to do some maths before next stream. It should be in my notes, what I have and haven't updated. Oh, there's another adoption event this weekend. Would be able to go. Pictures is not notes. I'm on tired brain. It's about 125 to add to it. So like 24 close to 25. I gotta update it just a little bitty bit. And at the end of the month, all our subs will go on there too. Which I think we'll be at like 28 then. So we're getting there. We're making progress. We're getting there. You guys are the best, and thank you so much. Thank you for a wonderful night. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your chats. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your company. More than anything, thank you for your time. Especially in this weird timeline of my life, your time is not free at all. It is this thing that you cannot make more of. It is a finite thing, and you are choosing to scoop up your spare time and plop it here in my stream, which I am honored. I am honored. I am blessed. I was gonna say gratituded. I'm grateful. I'm gratituded. The attitude of gratitude. And I am humbled, truly. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot. I don't like adhering to things or being a part of things that are inconsistent. I don't like being inconsistent. I like a routine. I like a schedule. And hopefully we will fall back into that soon. But I really do commend you guys for being more flexible than I. Because if I were me, if I weren't me, I probably would not have shown up to my stream tonight. So you guys are better than me at the very least. Yeah, we're gratituded. I don't know where that tense came from, but it was intense. But truly, thank you for your time. Make more money, you can make more friends, you can make more fans. You can make more spells that I would clean even if it was covered in poop. Via the poop method. You cannot make more time, so thank you for yours. I appreciate you, BBs. You are wonderful and incredible. And that is the last step of our goodbye, is for me to remind you all that you are indeed absolutely magical, absolutely incredible, absolutely wonderful, all of the good things in the world, oh so gorgeous and amazing. Take all those compliments and put them in your share in the way. Back pocket, side pocket, hoodie pocket, cute little shirt pocket, floating in suspended animation. It was so smooth. Wherever it needs to go until I see you next, you sweet babos. I'd like to play some games tomorrow, but don't hold me to it. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys get some best good eats tonight. Get some good eats. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Make good choices. And I'll see you for the next one. Good night, Club Cult. Thank you again for everything. You guys are amazing. You the best. And the best around. Club Cult will never bring you down. Good night.